What's up, everybody? This is Mr. Nino Barksdale back again with another Diecast City commentary. And in this week, this is Diecast City Chapter 6, episode titled Loyalty. So, hope everybody's doing good. Thank you for tuning in. So, this episode, we start back off with my same concept of only focusing on one faction of the show. And this is a GMT, but with a couple new character introductions. So, Diecast City is split into, or at least the drug trade is split into the east side and the west side. West side is controlled by Marcellus Wallace and Jules as his second in command, and the GMT, the Get Money team. But on the east side, one of the high profile drug kingpins is Slim, which is the character that was just playing the piano. So with this new episode, there's gonna be a couple new factions, couple new characters, and new settings. So this was a little more ambitious, as you can see. One key difference from this episode than the other ones is that I'm trying to use mouth animation. So I try using it a little bit here and there, sparingly, but it is very time consuming to do this. So I've only done it a handful of times, but like what I said, if I ever come back and do a remaster of it, I'll definitely edit the mouths to go, just to make it go, just to make it a little more smoother, for you guys to tell who's talking. So right now we have Jules. He's meeting with the kingpin on the east side, Slim, who he fronts a little bit more as a businessman. He owns a couple jazz clubs, and he also likes to stay low key. But Slim, very charismatic, very kind of elegant, kind of polite. But at the same time, there's a ruthless nature to him. He has the ability to switch it on and off. And Jules is another one that's kind of the same way. So they can both kind of talk to each other. They know how to, they're both kind of filling each other out. While Marcellus, he's more the boss, the kingpin, the one who calls the shots. He's gets zero pushback from anybody else. Jules, he still kind of has to play his part, but he's still well respected in the game. And this right here just shows that they kind of, their history a little bit, that they came up. Yeah. And this right here is back at the boxing gym, Marcellus's headquarters. Yeah. And this is a very key element to showing a little bit more development for Perry, his nephew. Perry's the one on the boxing, the boxing bag, the punching bag. So the Jules out there spreading the word about this committee we about to start up. We still need to show motherfuckers we got flex. And Marcellus, he's over there talking to Bishop about trying to train up some new muscles, some new hitters, some new enforcers for the organization. Wow. Bishop has been loyal. He's an OG to the organization. We still need to get some new blood, get some new people out there. Yeah, he's one of the only ones who could probably take Perry on his wing and make him listen, because Perry respects him. Like we said, he's an OG. He's putting in his work. And Marcellus, they kind of have like a big brother, little brother relationship, but he definitely loyal to the organization and especially to Marcellus.
Goddamn boy, I'm glad you stuck with them gloves. I've been running the family.
Yeah, I had fun making this scene. It was just trying to come up with a way how to make a punching bag and make the punching bag stand up, because that was I don't always use a roof or a ceiling when I make my sets, but sometimes I do. But for this particular case, I didn't do that. And one thing that you can notice is that I changed up the voices a little bit. This time you never really heard Bishop. You see them in the background, but this is like his first time really talking. So this was kind of his character's full introduction. And he has I kind of try to mirror him off of 50 Cent.
So y'all got everything back? Hey, was it ever a doubt?
And Like, we got back into Cisco and Frankie's relationship, you know. And one thing I'm noticing with my rewatch is like how well, it probably was intentional, but I kind of wanted people to have somebody like a mentor mentee, you know, all the young guys with the older guys, and Cisco kind of with Frankie, because Frankie, he's a mob guy. He's not part of GMT. He's in the mafia. He's with the Tarantino family. But Frankie is a very loyal guy. If anybody did him solid, he's gonna look out for that guy. And Cisco, like I said in the episode 2, or that Frankie did some time, and Cisco's brother looked out for Frankie. You know, he kind of helped him out with a situation, and Frankie won't forever forget that. So that's why he kind of looks out for Cisco. So yeah, and this right here is GMT at the gun range. You know, these are the new hitters, the ones that Marcellus wants Bishop to train up. So it's just showing that they're on a different level. You know, like these boys ain't just going out there, you know, shooting anybody. Well, I mean, they may, but at the same time, there's discipline behind it. You know, they want to make sure that these dudes are ready, that these guys are the top notch, at the top level of their profession. So Perry, he coming off as a natural shooter. Like that's his page. You know, I want to make sure that people see that he has that eye. He has that golden finger. What's it called? A golden eye. You know, kind of like James Bond shit. You know, he can hit. He's a great precision aimer. And the other mentee is Jules and TK. You know, which you seen their relationship throughout the show. And these dudes are the more like they like to make sure that the front stays going. You know, these are the front guys. Like, even though Jules is kind of like the underboss of the organization, second in command, he still has the eyes to keep. He doesn't want to be on the street that much. But TK, he mirrors him. You know, TK spends most of his time at the barbershop. You know, he talks. You know, he deals with the crew chiefs. You know, the guys who control different blocks, different projects, the ones who collect the money and get the dealers out there selling. And then after the dealers, you know, after they make their money, they bring the money to the crew chiefs. The crew chiefs bring it to TK. And then TK takes it to the other. You know, he distributes it out to like different like fronts that the business has, but the money eventually goes up the chain. So from TK to Jules to Marcellus, or whoever, you know. But like that's just the pecking order of the organization. And this right here is really going to showcase how TK has his relationship with the crew chiefs and the other crews that the GMT has under the umbrella. So, and then this is Marcellus. You know, you're never gonna see Marcellus really with a gun. You're never gonna see him out on the street selling the drugs. But he controls everything. He controls the connect. He's the main supplier. So he controls the West Side, make sure everything goes under his ruling. And then throughout this episode, you're gonna see GMT is gonna get confronted by the opposition, or another rival crew that's been, you know, that's kind of not really respecting the old rules. So this is the triad right here. You know, Bishop, Jules, and Marcellus. These three are like the key members of like the hierarchy. Like, Bishop's in charge of enforcing. Jules is in charge of distribution, in charge of the street level shit, and Marcellus is the overall boss. Yeah. And this is like a very beautiful scene. I like that. When I shot this one, I was very happy with how it came out. It's like a little picnic scene. You know, I use Nipsey Hussle, Double Up, which I felt, I played around with a few tracks, but this one felt the most fitting for this scene. And then I just love this trolley shot. You really get to see, you know, how big the crews are, you know, like, but they're just having a good time. You know, they're having a barbecue, kind of like a, you know, West Coast style barbecue, you know, like Men's Society, or, you know, Boys in the Hood, little backyard thing. That's what this is mirroring, you know, just everybody coming together having a good time. And Jules told TK to make sure he throws this, because TK, one thing he doesn't have, he's not in the streets like that, so, you know, people going to take advantage of that, but he at the same time he needs to make his presence felt. He needs to make sure people know that he's the one who's calling shots. And this is how, honestly, this is how Jules and Marcella get their word to the other guys. So if they don't have him, if they don't have a good strong mouthpiece that's passing the orders, then the organization is going to fall down from the bottom. You're going to get people who's going to try to branch out, like Cisco. Cisco's already looking to do things with the mob, with Frankie. That's where the relationship starts. And if Cisco, if he kind of goes on to another side, it's going to be very bad for the organization because he controls one of the biggest areas, the James Avery Projects, which I said, is named after the great legendary actor, Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, James Avery. So, anyways, yeah, Cisco, he runs the projects. So that's why Cisco's showing that he's more ambitious. He wants to have more responsibility, wants to get his name out there more, wants to make more money. And TK knows that. TK sees what he's about. He knows, and that's one of TK's strong attributes is that he's able to read. He knows what the people want. He knows Perry. It has a chip on his shoulder. He's trying to prove himself. He doesn't really like taking orders from TK, but he respects. And this right here is an introduction to the rival crew, Chaos Posse Clique, which is ran by Bricks, which Tupac's character. That's his name is Bricks. And it's a little tense, there's some tension, you feel it. But like this is supposed to be a little bit more like, the name is Chaos Posse Clique, but they're supposed to represent like, Crips, but it's not, all for fun and game, just like how you watch like Grand Theft Auto, they got Ballers and the Grove Street family. So this is just me just having fun, I don't call them like Crips or nothing like that, but that's just and then there's gonna be another faction, but it's not always about red and blue. It's not. I'm not big in those politics, but I did want to have some kind of street gang element, and this was my way of doing it. So I wanted to have them, showcase, and then you can see more of like where they hang out, like because they got their own territory, their own area, and where they run their business. But Bricks, the Tupac character, he's the leader of the Chaos Posse Clique.
TK took care of the money and the product, and at the top,
this is another one of my favorite scenes. I try to, we always have to have a scene with people driving in the car talking. But this particular episode, there's like a lot of car scenes. You had the one with Jules and TK. You had the one now with Bishop and Perry.
And this one could be off that needle sometimes, but most bets were back then. Still, to this day, that's
where he came from, how the organization got built, why he's so loyal to Marcellus and Bishop. Not Bishop, Marcellus and Jules. And Perry, he's a little bit, he's a little hard-headed, like he doesn't really see the value because he feels like he's being sidelined, he's being passed around. And the thing that Bishop is saying that if your uncle didn't give a fuck about you, you wouldn't even be here with me. I wouldn't have wasted my time with you. But this is very key to like showing Perry's the development.
Whatever happens, keep your black ass in the car.
Yeah, Perry. There you see a little bit of Perry's arrogance. We're gonna see Bishop, how Bishop handles business. He doesn't always use a gun, but he gets his point across. He gets his message out there.
You fucked up. It's a free zone. Everybody respect these boundaries, but you.
Yeah. It's very brutal. I like it. I love how it came out. The sound effects I use. It just, I snip a little bit from different movies, different shows. And if you know, but maybe I'll tell y'all later where I get it from. But definitely, I watch a lot of movies, watch a lot of clips, and I try to find the best ones that fit for the sound. But it's definitely like one of my more satisfying episodes. I liked how that one came out. And this is another crew under GMT. If you remember, I think episode 2, TK recruited these guys in the Blue District. And then this is where Chaos Posse comes through again. These are members of Chaos Posse CPC. They work under like the character Bricks. That's like his top hitman. That's like his bishop. What Bishop is to Marcellus, that's what he is to Bricks. And now he's confronting the GMT crew, and he's trying to, like pretty much banging on them. So we'll see where this goes. But this is the ending of the episode. And like I said, I just want to say I'm glad you guys, came back, stuck around this long. But please stay tuned for the next one. I'll holler at you guys next round, which is chapter 7. Peace.